Hello, everyone, and welcome to Office Hours. It is June 18th here in Boston. We have a bit of a heat wave. Hopefully, people are comfortable wherever you all may be. Office Hours. First section, announcements. I don't think I have any. Do other people have announcements? Okay, no announcements. Next section is an open section for questions, issues, or PRs people want to discuss. The intent is to kind of let anyone bring up things they're wondering about. I'll pause a few minutes, though y'all are kind of usual looking people. Okay, next up, agenda. I don't have any agenda. Anyone else have agenda?
Well, should we talk about when the next release is going out? I know we pushed the 5.12.2 that fixed the table registration issue, but it's probably about time to get regular old minor release out, huh?
Yeah, I think with the 5.12 things, I pushed our target release to the beginning of July, so like July 1, but that doesn't mean we couldn't start putting ducks in order.
With the what was that you said, Seth?
With the 5.12.2 release, I ended up deciding the beginning of June was a little too soon for a release. So
I see. Got it.
So current target is like July 1.
July 1 sounds good to me.
I do not know if Nick finished Windows code signing stuff. I know he was looking pretty hard, and then he bought a house. So that tends to take some time, you know. What other things do we need to get a 5.13 release in?
I'd like to get Lucas's PR number, the one that number 8342, where that stops the users table from hitting LDAP unless you intentionally do that.
Okay, is that one ready for review? I saw you had questions and went back and forth with him on that.
Yes, and he just reminded me that it needs review again,
Okay.
because he addressed my feedback.
Can make sure it's in the milestone, and let's see. I mean, do you want to review it, Zach, if you've got context on it?
Yes, I will review it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sort of just skimming down the list. We should probably try and get 8324 in. That was kind of that's the actual fix to the ATC issue. Mike, I thought that one was okay. I haven't stared at it. I don't know if I think Stefano maybe has read through some of that initialization code before, but yeah.
Sorry, what was the number again?
8324.
Oh, 24.
So Brad's fix to the ATC tables.
Yeah, but yeah, I wouldn't say I currently have any additional knowledge due to the quick look I had last time.
I suspect if it doesn't look wrong, we should probably just merge it and assume it will be a step forward. But I'll try and at least eyeball it.
Oh, and by the way, welcome, Grant. I saw.
Welcome, Grant. An earlier section was kind of an open section for people to discuss questions, issues, or anything someone wanted to bring to the meeting that they didn't feel comfortable in agenda. We don't have any strict agenda here, so if you'd like to bring anything up, by all means.
Can you guys hear me all right?
Yep.
So I'm kind of coming representing someone on our team who was unable to make it, but it's more of this is related around Yara rules. So they're trying to get evented tables. Oh, Brock made it, so maybe he can explain it better than I can. But yeah, evented tables, we could only find it working with the SIG file locally. Is there a way to do that with an actual SIG group, or does it have to be a local file? We've tried looking through code and everything. The documentation kind of only makes it work for a local file to read from.
Yeah, and the Yara table is, pretty complex. So I was mostly, we were hoping for someone who, had knowledge of it or had worked on it to kind of explain how it works. Because it's like the Yara or framework or whatever you want to call it seems it's like it's embedded in this table, right? Like you don't have to have the Yara binary installed on your computer in order to write Yara rules in an Osquery table to work, or at least that's my understanding of it. If Grant already said this, sorry for repeating it. The customer is trying to use this remote server feature of Yara where the rules are effectively pulled onto the computer on demand, so that they're not stored on the computer anywhere, because there's sensitive information in the strings that he's using to do the searches. And the question is, can he use the SIG rules feature in combination with this server feature? It kind of doesn't seem like the configuration allows that.
Sorry, I can maybe answer on that specific topic. There is constraint, column you can use sig URL that lets you download and use rule that is being downloaded from that link. The link or even the domain has to be previously allowed in the configuration. So there is a configuration in Osquery you have to do or write so that the URL can be hit by Osquery, but otherwise that would be one of the ways or the way to access the remote rule.
So I think SIG URL only exists for the Yara table, not the Yara events table.
Oh, okay. No, you're right.
I think that's
Sorry.
right.
So the Yara stuff didn't used to support remote rules at all. It only supported rules locally. And someone, maybe Trail of Bits, maybe not, added remote URL support. And I remember reviewing those PRs, and I remember going back and forth on them a few times. So that we created like config sections where you have to specify the URLs as sort of an allow list. Otherwise, you didn't, lots of things got added. But I'm not sure it got added to Yara events. And my memory is that Yara events is, maybe if you dig deep enough, is really just like a FIM events that's being plugged into the Yara table. So I wonder if you can construct what you're trying to do by using the FIM tables and then join the FIM evented tables and then joining them against Yara.
I would never have described it like that, but I did think of doing that, that maybe there was a way to combine the two tables to get the desired result, but I would like literally have no idea where to even start or how it would look to do it. Like
it would be close, but there is a possibly important to some cases difference, which would be that when you join an evented table to a non-evented table, if something happens between the time the event was originally generated and when the query actually runs and does the join, then you potentially miss things. So you can certainly trigger the Yara table off of file events, and you might do that every 10 seconds, let's say. But if the file has changed again within those 10 seconds, you miss it.
So it's kind of like a race condition if you do that. Almost you're building a race condition into your query if you do that.
Now, if the thing that's really needed is like a way to support remote Yara rules in the Yara events table, like it's probably possible to implement.
Okay.
Or definitely possible.
Okay, I mean that's really what we're after is like, what do we need to do to get this functionality that he wants?
But I mean, Grant, this might be one for us to follow up more on internally, to talk about, what's our customer prospect, what's their use case, and do we want to try to prioritize doing this work in Osquery?
Zach, do you think that you would be able to devote time to talking to this guy about this? I don't want to have a meeting for everything, obviously, but if maybe I think we could probably use your expertise to get this.
Yes, for sure. Ideally not this week because I'm at the conference this week, but next week or any other time.
Awesome. So we will set something up with this customer. That would be great. But this was helpful because just getting more understanding of I think the documentation for the Yara table is quite good, although it doesn't explicitly say you don't need Yara installed on your computer for the Yara table to work, which I find confusing, but maybe I'm
well. So almost everything is ultimately a C library, and Osquery has very few external dependencies.
Right.
So we don't talk about that anywhere really, but it's true kind of universally across the project.
You're saying it's kind of like a given, de facto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to conclude this, we think that you could use FIM to trigger a Yara rule, but as Zach points out, this can be a little bit racy.
Yeah.
And this may be something where Fleet picks up development work on behalf of what I assume is a shared customer.
Yep, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I don't think I had anything. I mean, I have a million questions I could ask, but I won't.
Well, you're here.
I'll let anyone else go if they've got something. If I can think of one that's pertinent, I will chime back in. Yaziel, did you have anything to add since you and I were the ones that were working on the issue, like from our conversation or the notes? Did you have anything to add for this particular issue?
No, I don't think so. I think you covered pretty much everything. And yeah, I think that's what we had concluded was like, if we want it to work exactly that way, we'll need to write some Osquery code. Well, someone else from the team, or wait a few months while I learn C++.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your time very much.
Sure. We're vaguely talking about the next Osquery release. But I don't know if there's a whole lot more to say about it other than we should review stuff and get it merged.
Maybe since I'm here and I've never been on this call, by the way. Hi, everybody. I'm Brock.
Welcome.
Thank you. Is it appropriate to talk about a kind of a meta topic, which in my mind is what is the Osquery take on the life cycle of a table, and like how do you decide if something gets deprecated or hidden or taken out? What are your thoughts on that? If you have any.
I mean,
This is anecdote about the firewall.
Well, here's where I'm coming from. Right now, that there are some discrepancies between what we're listing in the schema and what you guys are listing, which is fine.
Who's we?
At Fleet, I should say. I am currently engaged in a project where I'm trying to update Fleet's documentation of the tables. And there's certain tables that maybe don't have as much relevance as they used to. Like, for example, core storage, right? Core storage was something that Apple released when they were changing the partition scheme on Intel Macs about 8 or so years ago, when they started releasing Fusion drives. They have since updated the partitioning scheme with their own disk format, and that table is still there. Apple doesn't make computers that use this scheme anymore, and they haven't for like 8 years, 6 years. So like, does something like that just stay in there forever? And is that the intent? Should they be marked as
What
deprecated?
table?
Yeah. The core storage, I believe it's got in the name.
Is that a Fleet table?
I don't know. Maybe that one is not a. And even if it is, it's just an example, right? There are. Let me look and see if that is something that was created by Fleet.
That one might be a Fleet table, but I agree the question is good, even if the example.
Yeah, I'm using that as an example, but yeah, it's more.
I'm guessing it actually comes from the Mac admins extension and then is bundled into the Fleet.
So it's like things like that, right? It's like the hardware is no longer being offered in the world, right? Nobody's making it new anymore. So there would and the hardware and the operating systems on which this table was pertinent are no longer, they're deprecated. So like how do these decisions get made, if they get made, or should it just be that the tables are there forever, backwards compatible?
I mean, to answer some of the how you're looking at it, right, is that someone may bring it up at an office hours or submit a PR, and then we decide. There's not a lot of formality, and I think we should probably be better about it than we are. But I think there's also sort of a bias towards backward compatibility and towards just this long tail of old machines, right? We only comparatively recently dropped CentOS 6 support, and it's not wholly gone. So, I think one of the ones here, right, is like IP tables versus NF tables, right?
Ironically, the same customer that is asking about the Yara table thing also wants us to re-enable the IP tables because we are hiding it currently. Not Osquery. Fleet is hiding it in the schema currently.
Yeah, I mean, to use it, you have to have the IP tables compatibility layer installed over NF tables.
Yep.
one of the Clyde people looked at adding an NF table, and I kind of got tangled up in dependencies. And as far as we can tell, you end up having like the API is very similar to shelling out. Sort of you make a call and you get back a blob of JSON and you parse it. I think Zach said maybe one of y'all are going to end up looking at NF tables, but
yes, I spoke to someone in the community who's a customer of ours who said that they were going to do some POC work on that, and I told them I would help them bring that to fruition, but haven't heard anything since.
I think I saw your comment that said that in that issue, Zach.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if Zach got as far as implementation or just got as far as kind of understanding the problem space. But like, it's a fine example of, well, once we have an NF, let's say we bring in NF table support, would we do better to have that in the IP tables table? So the IP table is the unification of them, or was it better to have an NF tables one and an IP tables one? And at what point do we get rid of the, I don't have an answer to that, but I agree. Those are great questions.
Okay. No, I mean, this is an answer to the question, because I've had it kind of since I haven't been with Fleet all that long, since December, but since I got kind of pointed at this part of the product, the documentation of the tables, this is the kind of thing that has been rolling around in my mind, because I'm literally going through each one and to gain a better understanding of it so it can be better documented. So this is a good start, I think, to this conversation.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you find tables that are clearly deprecated, I mean, core storage isn't a great example because it's not ours, but like if you found something like core storage there, we know what the minimum macOS version we support is. I'd have to go dig it out of the build tooling, but there is one.
It's probably N-2 because that's what Apple.
No, I think it's older than that.
Okay.
It's 10.15 right now.
Okay.
So anything that stopped existing in 10.15,
yeah, this for sure qualifies for that.
Yeah. But there's this just long tail of weird things like, I don't know, we have macOS unified logs and the old Apple logs table, and do we ever want to deprecate the old Apple logs one, or how do we kind of point people between the two of them? I think the macOS battery stuff isn't really accurate as of M1 stuff, and this is just the underlying Apple API returns garbage data to us.
Well, I think that they made a change between the way that they were reporting. They now report percentage, whereas before
there's more.
They were reporting milliamp.
There's more.
Yeah.
They also like misreport healthy versus unhealthy in one case. So you have both that, and you have this other case where Apple tells you it's like the API says one or the other, and the GUI says another one, and I don't know how we should handle those.
Yeah, Victor and I were just talking actually, and we came up with another one, which is that last week at WWDC, Apple announced finally support for managing extensions in Safari. Now, you've been able to manage extensions in Chrome with a configuration profile for a long time, and admins everywhere were crying out to their God saying, why can't we manage extensions in Safari? So now they've made that you can do that now with a configuration profile. But the funny thing is that in the previous release, or maybe the one before, extensions are now basically just apps. So the Safari extensions table isn't really that useful because you can find everything in the Safari extensions table in the apps table. But maybe now it is useful because they're releasing this new MDM management functionality.
I thought there were additional columns.
You thought there were? Oh, there. Yeah, I think you're right. I think there are. Yep, I think you're right.
Like I think that the Safari, there are two kinds of Safari extensions, and one of them is an app with some extra JSON or plist data associated with it.
Yep, I think you're absolutely right about that. But this is just an example of the fact that that it's like, ever growing, ever evolving. There's no point at which it's done or stopped, right? So how do you map to it?
Stefano, were you trying to say something?
Okay. Well, I appreciate again the conversation on this. It's good to hear, kind of the thoughts of the people who actually work on this stuff. And I don't know if I can help at all with this problem, but I would love to help if I could. But in the meantime, I'm going to keep working on the docs, and I don't know, maybe I'll poke in here every now and then.
You're always welcome, and the Osquery docs send updates to them if you want. We might argue, but PR it.
No problem. Thanks, guys.
Anyone want to talk other things about that release? Anyone want to talk about anything else? Welcome, Eric. You want to talk about anything?
No, sorry, I'm late.
Sounds like Eric Kaiser. Or which? Oh, indeed.
How's everybody?
Good to see you, Eric.
It's good to be visible. What I
I
miss?
think we concluded we should maybe make a release sometime around July 1. We talked about Yara tables.
Awesome. All right. I'll look for the release in July.
Yeah, and the rest of the notes are in the link that is in Slack, which I am pulling up here, and I'll link in the chat, unless someone already did. Oh, Steph's got it open. Yes.
Got it. All right.
I guess we're probably about ready to wrap it then.
Yeah, if no one wants to talk about anything, we can reclaim 30 minutes. As if we were an AI SaaS tool.
Awesome.
Nice to see everyone. And thank you, various people, for various things.
Yeah, and happy summer, y'all.
Nice meeting you all. Thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.